Thursday. Let's get right into this thing, people. We are back. Your favorite, and I'm never lying when I say this, your favorite sports podcast roaming the airwaves, rolling with Ramos is back. I happen to be the one that holds the last name Ramos. I would like to specifically thank my daddy for that one, Mike Ramos in heaven. I love you, and I miss you. I miss him so much every day, every hour. Episode 97. We chugging along, baby, to episode 100. And I always got somebody chugging along with me. He's always along for the ride. I'm nothing without him. I'm glad to see you, your face, look at you, because you are what makes this go. You are the star.
I'm not the star.
Tristan, another week, baby.
Yep. I'm excited. Excited to see you again. Excited to be on here again. We got a lot to talk about. I mean, this has been a packed week. Every week's been a packed week. It seems for the past like month or so. So we got a whole new thing to deal with this week too.
Well, this week, if we're talking about episode 97, I could have went NHL with this, but I went somewhere else with it. A former American football defensive end. He was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals third overall in the 1996 NFL draft. He is 20th all-time in sacks at 122 in NFL history. In his 12-year NFL career, he recorded 122 sacks, forced 25 fumbles, recovered 8, intercepted 5 passes. He earned 3 Pro Bowl selections and earned a Super Bowl ring with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 37. He also played for the Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, and the New York Sentinels. Baby, pull out the chops, baby. Stop chop it up. Episode 97. Now, if you think you love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now with Tom Brady, you don't know no history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is when they was fighting.
There you go.
Episode 97. The Simeon Rice edition.
Simeon is definitely an underrated player that doesn't get talked about enough as one of those premier pass rushers that we've had in the early ons. But Simeon Rice was a key factor in that Super Bowl run with the Buccaneers. I mean, we like to talk about, Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lynch, Mike Allstott and them cats, but Simeon Rice was just as much of a factor in that Super Bowl run that the Buccaneers had for sure.
It don't get no better than Simeon Rice.
Right.
Man, you can't. That Buccaneers team. And then if we want to talk about the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins, when you remember a long time ago, you used to talk about how not the Nationals, if the Capitals can just get over the hump of the semis, that's what happened with us. It was either Seattle or it was Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
We couldn't get past Tampa Bay. It was always one or the other. And as much, and then Brad Johnson had the audacity to go to Tampa Bay
and obliterate us. Had the all nerve.
All nerve. Back when they was all black, baby. Right on. Right on. Speaking of black, honorable mention as we start the show, because we promised that we were going to talk about her last week. Just an honorable mention about Naomi Osaka.
Yep.
Oh man, U.S. Open champion. What she's been able to do, how has she been able to transcend tennis and we're definitely trusting her for years to come as far as the predecessor with Serena, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even more so than, we at first we were saying she would be the predecessor to her in regards to just playing the sport, playing tennis. But now, just with what she's done with those face masks and acknowledging all the names of those victims, now we can see that she is truly understanding at a young age, mind you, is understanding and willing to take up that mantle as well. Even before all of this, even before Black Lives Matter movement, before that, just how she dealt with Coco Gauff, when Coco Gauff lost to her, and she just pleaded with her to do the interview with her because she understood the magnitude of that moment of them two standing side by side, as both as both African American women. Even though now, I mean, we do acknowledge the Japanese side, but she fully embraces her black side as well. One of the
Yeah.
covers that she did, I think it's a Japanese cover she did. Her she had on her Japanese garment as a dress, but then she had her
Mm.
African garment as her head tie. She fully embraces and is fully aware
Wow.
of who she is and what she represents. So it's amazing. I'm such a fan of her.
Yes.
I remember when we talked about on long episodes before talking about her and Serena in that match that referee just completely uh, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna get
Messed up
mad
a
all over again,
beautiful
but
moment.
really messed up a beautiful moment and a beautiful match, and just how she carried herself even back then with such class and professionalism. I mean, kudos to her, and she needs to be protected by all costs, as we always say, protect them at all costs. So she's definitely one.
Shout out to the Kobe jersey. He said, "Be better than her." She's doing the
Absolutely.
best that she could. Um, so honorable mention to her. Another honorable mention that we did not get a chance to mention last week, but this one is more of a may he rest easy. Coach Thompson, Coach John Thompson. We
Yes.
lost him about a week ago. We have to pay our. I mean, it don't get no better than John Thompson.
Right.
Lonzo Mourning. You talking about Patrick Ewing? You talking about Allen Iverson? It gets no better than him. What he was able to do for black boys. Not even getting them on the court. Majority of his players got their degrees. They were
Yeah.
smart young black men. What he was able to do for them, giving Allen Iverson a second chance. Nobody wanted to take a chance on him after that incident in high school, and his mother begged him, and look what he turned Allen Iverson into a Hall of Famer. May he rest in peace. I mean, you and I growing up in the DMV, you couldn't tell me Georgetown wasn't the HBCU.
Facts. Facts, facts, absolutely. I mean, all the barbershops. One of my older barbers. He born and raised in D.C. The shop was in D.C. You heard about Georgetown. You treated it like it was HBCU. And Dr. Thompson was the one of the bigger reasons for that. Just all the players that he brought through there, the swagger that they carried, and all that. Man, it was definitely a huge, huge loss. But an awesome legacy that's going to live on forever.
If you're tuning in, make sure you drop those comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Roland Ramos, as this episode will go on there. You can also put them headphones in. Take us on the go, people. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes Podcasts, Google Playlist, whatever you get your information from, you can get Roland Ramos there too. Make sure you follow us
Yep.
there. Let's get right into this thing. Let's start with some college football, Tristan. It's like eeny, meeny, miny, mo over here. We thought we wasn't going to have it. Now we might actually have it. Pac-12 football is considered for return to play. They consider that meeting today, Thursday, as the league aims to start season October 31st or November 7th. According to CBS Sports, the Pac-12 is in the midst of considering a return to play for college football this season. League sources told CBS Sports last week it is set to meet today, Thursday, the conference on whether it can overcome its obstacles in order to take the field. If so, the Pac-12 may vote on whether to play by the end of the meeting. We still have a bunch of meetings that are going to happen these next few days, a Pac-12 source said last week. I'm skeptical, but all options are still on the table. If the Pac-12 CEO group allows the return of football, a shortened season could start on October 31st or November 7th. League sources tell CBS Sports there is a preference to start October 31st in order for the Pac-12 to get in as many games as possible before the College Football Playoff Selection Committee makes its choices on December 20th. If
Hmm.
it is forced to wait an additional week, the league would play one fewer game, as it is believed the Pac-12 is aiming for 6 weeks of preparation before the kickoff. The difference being the Pac-12's potential return to play and the Big Ten's decision is that the Big Ten teams were already going to utilize the NCAA 12-hour weekly limit on activities when they announced the return. Pac-12 schools located in California and Oregon have been limited by local health restrictions some of which prohibit gatherings of larger than 12 persons. Those local health restrictions, specifically across those two states, but in all that are home to Pac 12 teams, remains the biggest hurdles in getting all the teams together at the same start date. Because of the fires on the West Coast, some teams have been unable to practice due to air quality conditions. Here we go again, Tristan. College athletes, no incentive, whether they should play or not play. They're watching the NFL. This is what's happening. These collegiate organizations are watching the NFL. They're watching the NBA. They're watching them successfully be able to continue to play without insult to injury when it comes to COVID-19. They think they can do the same thing. We're unsure if they have the same resources as these professional organizations. They're saying that they can find a way. Should they try to play? And we're asking this question again.
Um, I remember we asked this question before. I remember we talked about it before,
Same
and
old story, brother.
yeah, and and I think my answer is the same as far as just I'm always about the safety of these student athletes because they are students first and athletes second. But I do also understand their desire to want to play. A lot of them, we have to understand a lot of them. This is their shot at getting into the pros. This is their chance to, you know, get noticed by NFL scouts and stuff like that. NBA scouts, even in regards to the basketball players, that because that's going to be the other discussion coming up. Um, I think they can. My only concern is, they look at, like you said, they look at the NFL, they look at the NBA of how everything has been going. But the difference between is the resources that the NBA and the NFL have in order to do what they do. Now, like the NBA put all the teams that qualify for the playoffs, put them in the bubble and
Yep.
had a controlled environment that they had the money to do so. They had the money to make that controlled environment. They had the money to get that accomplished. So that's a whole different animal. And then with the NFL, every franchise has taken their own way of making sure that their players are secured. They've done the work as far as the medical staff. They've enhanced and rebuilt their facility for all those things just to make sure that they're all safe. And they have the money to distribute for the test to be distributed to them, that they can take it often in order to make sure that the season can
Yeah.
continue. So, does the NCAA have the same kind of um, resources? Can the Pac-12 or the SEC, the Big Ten, all these schools that have some of them have already started games, the ACC, do they have the resources to make sure that these kids, these students can play safe football, which is sounds like an oxymoron when we say safe football, but can they
Yes.
play safe football in the season? I mean, we were talking about a couple weeks ago how LSU, a majority of the players on the LSU team were tested positive for COVID-19. Although I think they said a good majority of them were asymptomatic, but still, these are the
Yeah.
things that we have to look at and be concerned about. So,
I mean, they're already telling students if they're already on campus, listen, you can't go to parties, don't get together, do this, do that. And if we both know about how it is to go to college, how can how can you not congregate at college? And if you're getting it before, if you're getting it in your regular routine, you add a football field and you add the most. I hate to say this, but football can be very nasty sometimes. And you're talking about fluids and spit and you're talking about
no, that's
sweat
real though.
flying everywhere.
Absolutely,
We're talking about young kids and young kids and I get it. Young kids think that they're invincible to this thing. I think that's the mantra of the country. They think, okay, if
absolutely,
I get it, I'm young, I'll get over it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You don't know how
yeah,
your body's going to react to it. But here we are again in college football.
yep. Here we are.
How much? If I ask this question again, a couple of weeks, you said that they were trying to take the necessary precaution, and it was not all about the money. It's about the money this time.
I think so. I think it's about the money because a lot of these kids we want to see play. The boosters understand that people want to see Justin Fields. People want to see Trey Lance play football. People want to see Trevor Lawrence play football. These guys that are projected to be household names at the next level. These schools know that this is their last opportunity to cash in on these guys' ability and their name for their university. So they're in a tough spot, and they want to see it happen. So they'll say all the right things. I think that's the thing people don't understand. They'll say all the right things as far as like, oh, we want the kids to be able to enjoy their season. We want them to experience a chance of winning a championship. They'll
You
say all
want
the
that
nice things,
TV deal.
but you want the TV deal. Exactly. Exactly.
If you're tuning in, you're tuning into your favorite sports podcast, Roaming the Airwaves, Rolling with Ramos. We are at episode 97. That means we're three away from
Three
100.
away.
And we do it in honor of one of the most best defensive ends to play the game. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Episode 97, the Simeon Rice edition. I am Mikkel Ramos. I'm with my favorite Leo. You can't tell me you ain't the star because I don't know Leo that don't like attention, brother.
You can't. I'm not the star. I'm not the star.
let's talk about some more college football news. This one takes us historically black college and university land. Prime time making a time in Mississippi. Hopefully it works out in Mississippi.
Right.
Deion Sanders, according to the Associated Press, he wiped away tears of joy and passion before speaking. Jackson State's new football coach then stated, I believe, many times about what he envisions happening on and off the field. He says, I have a commitment to excellence in each and everything that I do. The Hall of Fame cornerback said during his introduction as the Tigers' 21st head coach, a number that's also very significant because it is the number of his jersey, in conjunction with the fact that he got the job on the 21st of September. How beautiful is that?
Right.
We're going to win. We're going to look good while we win, if that's not a prime time statement. And we're going to have a good time while we win, if that ain't a prime time statement. Sanders' introduction followed an announcement Sunday night prior to this on the first episode of the 21st in Prime podcast with Jamie Dukes on the Barstool Sports. The player known as Primetime added, isn't this the time? Isn't this the moment? Isn't this what's needed? It's a match made in heaven. Currently the offensive coordinator at Trinity Christian School, Cedar Hill in Texas, Sanders is taking his first head coaching job. I've been offered pro jobs, Sanders added, so people know I could be an assistant in any college. Lastly, the Southwestern Athletic Conference School introduced Sanders. And then you don't get no more HBCU and blacker than this, Tristan. He was introduced with the trademark pop of a historically black college and university. Its marching band led a police-escorted motorcade into an arena with a boisterous yet socially distanced audience. Coach Prime later opened a blue blazer lined with the JSU logo to much applause. Acting Jackson State President Thomas Hudson called the hiring the grace of God and cited the school's football history in landing Sanders. Primetime Mississippi. How great is that for the culture?
It's huge. Huge for the culture. Like, I mean, what joy. I mean, you and I being, products of HBCUs. I mean, this is major. I couldn't even be, normally we hear something about an HBCU, we like to do our little, friendly little jab at HBCUs. That's us. It's like we can talk about other HBCUs, but anyone outside of HBCUs can't talk about HBCUs. That's our little thing. I couldn't even feel that for this because I was just so overjoyed at the fact that an HBCU got a coach with this kind of pedigree. I mean, how much better can you get than prime time? Like, this is not even just a football acumen that he has, but just as far as business, as far as advertising. I mean, we have the slogan out here where we're saying, I'm trying to get the bag. I mean, nobody got the bag better than Prime. So, I mean, for these kids to be able to just learn so many life skills and how to capitalize and in a country that quite honestly, doesn't want to see black men capitalize like that. So, no. I mean, what better situation could this have been for HBCUs? And I really want I know he's going to do this, but it's so important I think people need to be reminded of how great these HBCUs are. I mean, shout out to, Uncle Shannon Sharp from Undisputed. He talked about it the other day. He said, people tend to forget that some of the greatest players in NFL history came from HBCUs. When you talk about Jerry Rice and Walter Payton, Willie Lanier, Shannon Sharp himself, Michael Strahan, like these guys came from HBCUs,
Yeah.
and it's just talked about as if HBCUs never had it, like we never had great athletes. I mean, Willie Lanier was the first African American middle linebacker to start at middle linebacker for the
He
Kansas
was a
City
Morgan
Chiefs.
State grad. Let us add that
Morgan
one
State
in there.
grad. You know what I'm saying? Morgan State grad, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champ. Like, we don't talk about these things enough. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that, like, someone like Prime not only talk about it, but now put his name stamped on HBCU. It's not just Jackson State. Now it's HBCU. And someone like him, he understands that even though he's coaching for Jackson State University, he's coaching for HBCUs. He's coaching for all these African American men that want to play football, that now believe I got someone like him that could shed light on us and show us, hey, we got skills too. Because don't think that the TV cameras ain't going to try and get their way down there. Every
Yeah.
post game, every pre-game conference, during the game, seeing how he coaches. So not only will it benefit the players of Jackson State University, but it's also going to benefit the other HBCUs that have to play against Jackson State University, because all those cameras are going to be out there. So now we're going to see a young Jerry Rice out there. We're going to see a young Shannon Sharp. We're going to see a young Walter Payton out there that we might have not noticed at any other time. So this was a huge. I mean, I was so joyful when I saw that announcement take place. It was an amazing time for HBCUs and for Black America in general.
What it does also is it actually puts the face there for once, because now a lot of people want to give back to HBCUs. They want to show the importance of them. Now everybody's looking at them, but you actually went there now and you did this,
Yes,
because it's a lot about talking and doing. But he actually went down there and made this statement, and
made it
now he is
happen.
the coach of Jackson. You have black, let's be real, we don't always come from the best backgrounds and the most financial amount of money. So guess what, if he can go to Jackson State, he may not. If you got somebody from Mississippi that does not have the money to go to a UCLA, to a big program, he can stay home and he can go to Jackson State and he can get an education and he can be around his kind and he can play some hell of a football, and who knows what he can turn out to be.
Well, let me tell you right now. If I'm Ole Miss, if I'm Mississippi State, all these schools like that, oh, I'm nervous because
Didn't
all
he
them
land a
cats,
recruit?
huh?
Didn't he land a recruit? Or they were talking about it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd be nervous if I was those schools because what black kid ain't gonna want to try and play with Prime? I
Yeah.
mean, that's gonna be hard to find. What black
We're
kid ain't going?
changing the narrative already.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to recruiting, I don't even know if he has to say much. He might just gotta walk through the door. It's Prime. You know what I'm saying? Like it's Deion
You go it.
Sanders. I
Prime
mean,
walking your house right now.
just give me the letter of intent right there at the table. Because what I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no to Deion Sanders. That I don't want to play for you. Prime time, Mr. Hall of Famer, Mr. arguably greatest cornerback to ever walk on earth. No, I'm not going to do that.
Dual
Two sport.
superstars can
I'm
play
about to say
two
two
sports.
sport, two sport all star. Like no, this is the same guy that scored a touchdown and cranked a home run in the same day. I'm gonna say no to him. Mm-mm. I'm going to go play for him. I'd almost play for him for free.
What does this do for the over ending argument about HBCUs don't have the facilities, don't have the resources that these big schools have, these schools have otherwise? What does this do now? Because if he takes this program, not only if he takes this program and they win and they start winning, if he pumps into the university, pumps into the alumni, pumps into the actual facility where these guys get to work and train. What does this do for the MEAC? What does this do to CIAA? What does this do? Period. We're already
What?
seeing big names of other athletics. There was two black twins that were, I think they were going to UCLA or something like that. They decided to go to Howard. The narrative is changing. What does this do now?
What it does is that it puts on notice all of the black athletes, former black athletes, former black superstars, the ones that want to go into coaching, that you don't have to look for the big schools and scrape and scrum to try to get in. You ain't gotta do that. You can go to these schools, you can use your cachet, use your pedigree to influence the program more and get people to come to the university, get players to come to the university, get boosters to increase for the university. Like, his success depends on so much, but he's the man to do it because he has to be successful. It's not even an
Yeah.
option, and that's normally how it is when for us as African Americans, when we're trying to shatter the mold that's been placed. We always
Yeah.
know that the person that's first, it carries the weight of the world because that person has to make it work. Same, I mean, we can look at in the field of women broadcasting, especially African American women. You know what I'm saying?
We have
Jamel
no
Hill,
room for
yeah,
mistake.
exactly. Jamel Hill had to be almost flawless, and then when they try to put flaws on her, she had to be unapologetic about it. Carrie Champion, all these people, Maria Taylor, these people, these women had to have a certain way to be in media, and they had to carry it, even though it wasn't fair. Look at Serena Williams. We just talked about it. Even though it wasn't fair how they were being treated, and it wasn't fair how they were being critiqued or judged, they knew they had to carry it because it's not about them. It's about those that come after me. It's about the Mikel Ramos and the Ashley Bakers. Shout out to Ashley Bakers. It's about you guys
Not to
that are
ask
coming
me
that are
about
coming
nothing but
after her.
sports. I got it.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. It's about y'all that are coming after these women and are upstarting y'all careers. They knew they had to carry that torch for you guys, and so it's the same thing with Prime. Prime got to understand. Look at the landscape for black head coaches. Look at the landscape through college, through through the NFL. if if Deion Sanders can take this program, because they look at all HBCUs as relatively small programs. If he can take this small program and make it into something, which I believe he can, it's
Yeah.
just going to open the door for those that come after him, that they can take those jobs. They can say, you know what, look what Deion Sanders did. We believe that this cat could do the same thing. So it's a huge, huge mantle to carry. But I honestly, I couldn't trust it on anybody else's shoulders more than I trusted on Prime's.
Speaking of prime time, speaking of Deion Sanders, we've seen him as the player, as animated as he is, and there's nothing that's more alluring when them lights come on. We know that he shows up. What kind of coach will he be? Will he be defensive minded? Will he shrug them shoulders walking around? Or will he be offensive? Will he shrug them shoulders walking up and down the field? What can we take from prime time prime coach?
So I don't know if you follow him on different social medias. I know I do because he's one of my favorite athletes all the time. So I
Yeah.
just like to hear him talk. And I've watched some of the YouTube clips and other stuff of him coaching his sons, um, specifically his baby boy. That's going to be an awesome quarterback in that quarterback class. I think 2021 or 2022, one of them. He's going to be a part of that quarterback class coming in. He's going to be awesome. Um, he's no nonsense. I mean, if we remember, and I'm gonna say this just to give that nugget. Shout out to the 20th anniversary. I can't remember if it was today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Can't remember the 20th anniversary of Remember the Titans. Talking
Yes.
about TC Williams with Coach
Uh,
Boone. Um,
uh,
and there
uh.
you go, there you go. He kind of has that approach. Like, we see him flashy. He always smiling, very charismatic on camera. But when it comes to coaching, he is no nonsense, and he demands perfection. He demands perfection.
He was the same as a player. When it was time to perform,
When it was time, when
there
it was
was no
time to
talking.
go, it was time to go. It was time to go. And so, I think that element is something that people maybe don't know well enough about him because he's so flashy, because he's so charismatic. But when it's time to work, it's time to work. And so, I'm excited to see that kind of coaching, on the sideline, on televised, so people can see what it really looks like. I mean, he said it even in his playing days. He said he would lay out his uniform. It's like he knew what he wanted to wear, but then when he done laying it out, he'd be in the locker room and have like a little monitor in front of him looking at film. That's as flashy as he was, as charismatic as he was. When it was time to go, when it was time to work, there was nobody that took it more serious than him.
I can't wait to see prime time. Can you imagine the HBCU Classic? if Jackson State, that's one hell of a party in Atlanta.
Man,
But
listen,
get the ribs, get the tailgate. I can't wait to tailgate again. When the last time you tailgate? It's been a long damn
it's
time,
been a
hasn't it?
long time, and I do miss tailgating for sure. It's been a long
Oh
time.
my god. Can we do a social distancing? We can have one grill across from the other. Tailgating ain't got nothing to do with the game, baby. We can still sit out there and cook and eat and drink some beers. It ain't nothing but a G thing outside. Half the time it's better outside than it is inside.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. You ain't lying.
That's
You ain't
what
lying.
it's that's what a
I'm.
true party is. I have to. We are a sports show, and I know that we are a sports show, but we also are a part of this world. You spoke about earlier about the indigenous of black women in this country. Breonna Taylor did not get her justice. If anything, the walls around her did, but she did not.
Hmm.
Tristan, how do you? We're outraged. We're outraged knowing that we would have been outraged anyway. Did we really think that they were going to do the right thing? Um, how do you feel about it? As we go into the NBA, how um how has their anger translated? LeBron James tweeting his love for black queens. How has that translated in for you hearing that verdict? And how has it been to watch athletes just be enamored by the news?
You know, I knew it was going to be bad when Kentucky issued a state of emergency.
Mm.
I knew it was going to be something we weren't going to want to hear. And then when it came out, and you could say disgusted, you could say outraged, and all that. But the first word that came to mind was just, I'm just really tired.
Yeah.
That was really the first word that came to my mind. I was like, I'm just really tired. Because you knew it was coming, but you just hoped it wasn't.
Mm.
And to say that a life was lost, but the only crime given to one officer, not all three, but one, to say that a life was lost and only one officer got hit with something, and the something was basically, in layman's terms, he shot at walls.
Mm.
That's basically what you said. They can make it sound fancy. What do they call it? The wanton something, like, I mean, they can make it as
Who
fancy
cares what it
as they
is?
want to. But basically, you're saying he's only getting this criminal charge for shooting at walls in a public building
Yeah.
when a life was lost. And it's like you these NBA guys went to the bubble on a mission, not only to try to potentially win a championship, but also to publicize their outrage and their concerns and want to issue change. And I'm so proud of the NBA and the NBA players.
The
I don't think there
WNBA
was.
as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. WNBA as well. I don't believe there was a post interview that I saw from either organization that a player didn't address what was going on. And for that to happen, for that to take place, and that the prosecutors see it, and for that ruling to still be what it was, and the fact that the person that judged the ruling was a black man, just it hits you a little differently at that. We go all the way back to when Malcolm X said the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. And, you know, I truly, my heart breaks and weeps for the black women in America because we see you all fight so feverishly, um, endlessly for everyone. And we're just really looking to try to figure out who and when are going to fight for you guys and you guys' lives. and for you guys' lives to matter. Um, I was so heartbroken. I felt for the players. I know there was rumors some of them were anticipating not playing. They didn't want to play because they just felt like, what was the point? Why are we here? We're away from our families. We're away from our friends. You know, during this pandemic, and we got to deal with this, and we don't get to be with our loved ones. You know, some of them that are married, they don't get to be with their wives, and they just got to sit and deal with this emotion on their own while still trying to go out there and entertain us. It's truly heartbreaking. I really had no words for it, and you know I'm somebody with many words, but
Yeah.
I had none when that came out. I kind of just sat in silence for a while just to really contemplate what's going on here and what can be done. I don't know what else to do. We've protested um, peacefully and non-peacefully. You
Yeah.
know, we've used our social media platforms. We've done it on this show. We've done it individually on our respective social medias. Um, the athletes, the celebrities, we've all spoken. So what more can we done? You basically said walls were more valuable than a life.
A life that they watched in front of them because they could have saved her life because she was still alive
Right.
for some time before she left because they did not think, and then they let not look and think it was serious. You know, it brings you ever heard that song 713 by
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z and
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce? And at the end, Jay-Z, his last verse of that song, he speaks primarily to black women.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last part of that line, in the last part of that verse, he says, "Black Queen, you rescued us." And what everyone, what they've done for the black race, for black men. Um, it's crazy because I always say I wouldn't want to be a black man in America because when you guys step outside the house, it's we don't know if you're gonna come back home. There's so
Right.
much you deal with. Who knows if you're gonna come back home? How can I put so much pressure on you on the inside of this house? I have to make sure that you're well enough to go out there. But I didn't never know. And I can't say that I didn't ever know because I'm in a male dominated field. I'm black and I'm a female. The stigma in its own right when you step into a locker room is all you got to be better than everybody in there.
Right.
The black girl next to you that's your friend, that's your colleague that you want to hold up, the white or Asian girl next to you, young girl next to you, the older white man next to you, and the older lady that's been in the game for a long time. You got to show that you belong. I can't say that I don't know how it is to fight from the ground up and to be a black woman in America. But I think this is what it took for me to see I'm just on a chopping block like everybody else.
Yeah.
When you're abused and you're raped and you're beaten and you don't want to tell nobody anything and you're afraid to do it. And some of the things that we carry as black men, black women in our heads and our minds every day, and the struggles we go through when we cry in the shower and we tell no one, and we still go outside and be a mother. We still go out and have postpartum depression and take care of our children. We still go out there and try to do the best we can by our men. We still go out there and work. It let me know that, hey, to some people, I am not that valuable. I value you, though.
I value you too.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's go on to the NBA, shall we? Now, it's not much goings on, but it's a lot goings on. We know Miami leads the series 3-1. Tyler Murder Hero. Because that was for 3-7, Tristan, the other night. He said, Jimmy, get out the way. I got the buckets, baby.
Mad buckets.
Lakers lead series 2-1. Can Denver make it? What are you seeing? Can Denver make it something? Is it over before it's over? Boston did all that in the last series to just unravel in the Eastern Conference Finals. What are we making of these two finals, and who do you see going to the finals? I already know when you first pick,
Oh, okay.
or is it evident that we see who going?
I can't say that. I already said Lakers in five. So for me, I felt like they had their one. The Nuggets got their one.
I'm
Anthony,
sorry. How you not gonna call that what it is?
listen, Anthony Davis had a very
You
he had a
thinking me crazy?
he had a very bizarre game. To only have two rebounds and you played 48 minutes, you had two rebounds. Like that's not going to happen again. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron did all he could, but AD was not acting like how he needed to act. So it's just not that's not going to happen again. I think Caruso is going to have a better game. Um, I think Dwight kind of understands Joker a little better to know you got to just kind of be in front of him and not be too physical with him because he'll get you in foul trouble. Rondo, we didn't get playoff Rondo till the fourth quarter. He's going to come out a lot harder tonight. So I'm not worried about it. I think Lakers will be in five. I think the Nuggets did the best they could. Kudos to them. No disrespect to them. I think
Yeah.
people kept saying like they don't belong, they don't belong. But look, man, unlike football where any given Sunday somebody can get beat, you get four chances in the playoffs in the NBA. So they deserve to be here because they had to beat the Clippers four times to get here. So they deserve to be here. So I don't want to hear that whole notion of, this is a cakewalk because Denver didn't deserve to be here. No, it wasn't like the finals for Toronto. No shade to them, but it wasn't like the finals for Toronto when half of Golden State was injured and they weren't dealing with everybody. No, they dealt with everybody full strength and they did what they had to do. They took care of business. So shout outs to the Nuggets on that, but it's definitely LeBron's to take. So I think that Lakers gonna come out flying. Um, um, I see
How many ways can you call it
Jerron
the GOAT?
Whaley. Shout out
How
to
many ways
Jerron
can you call
Whaley.
it the GOAT? How many
Shout
ways
out
can
to him. I believe it's theirs. And then as far as for Miami, here's the thing: people are like, "What's going on with Boston? What's going on with Boston?" Listen, Miami was the perfect team to match up against Boston.
Yeah.
I kept telling, I'm like, listen, like you got athletic, tough, gritty guys led by the grittiest in the NBA and Jimmy Butler. Like this is absolutely a match made in heaven for
He's
Miami,
still going.
and and he's still going. The worst nightmare for Boston. It's not that Boston's really playing out of whack. Like it's just Miami's just got a better ticket on them. That's all. That's
Yeah.
really all it is. And I kept
It's
telling people
nice to
about
see Jimmy Butler happy. It took him
listen,
how many how
took
many
him took him a long time. And look, and it makes you think about what he had to go through because everybody thought it was him. Even me saying it, I thought it was him with Timberwolves, with the Bulls, with Philly. I thought it was him, but clearly it was the organization. It makes you look back. Minnesota, you got to do
this
a self
just
check
in,
on
the
your team.
Pac-12 voted on Thursday to play a 7 games.
Okay, and that makes sense because they got to get enough games in to be in playoff contention for the college football playoffs. So that makes sense. It was
Continue.
bound to happen. It was bound to happen with that. But again, going back to the Eastern Conference Finals, Tyler Hero. I told people about Tyler Hero from Kentucky. The guy is literally a walking bucket. They even showed the clip today of him saying it back in college. He was saying it to somebody at the free throw line. He said, "I'm a bucket." That's literally what he is. Like he is like a poor man Steph Curry. Like that's literally who he was at Kentucky. All he had to do was get a bucket. But here's the thing that's benefiting Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is learning from Jimmy Butler how to
Yes.
play gritty, how to play defense. He's learning from one of the better two-way players in the game. So this is a match made in heaven for Tyler Hero. I'm so excited to see how his career projects. But as far as being a bucket getter, there's no question.
You know how we said LeBron was the only one to be able to put on a Lakers uniform and for it to translate. He was the only one that could be able to translate into a Lakers uniform and for it to be done right, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can we speak of Jimmy Butler putting on a uniform in Miami? It will forever be Wade County. But what he's done in Miami shows that he is a good predecessor to bring Miami back into the ranks for years to come, correct?
Well, you remember Dwayne Wade kind of dubbed him before he even got there as like, if there was anybody that I could give the torch to, it would be somebody like Jimmy Butler. So Dwayne Wade already kind of gave it
Yeah.
like kind of telling without doing the whole, what they call it, tampering. He kind of gave it to Miami, like, hey, this is the guy to grab if you want to carry on this legacy of Miami. And when you see Jimmy Butler, he's literally the embodiment and the structure of Pat Riley.
And we're coming up on a year of his announcement of retirement, correct? Wait,
Yes, we are.
this is perfect timing. Um, this is about to piss you off in
Okay,
advance. You
all right.
probably know I'm already going to talk about. You
I
spoke
think
about
so.
it in depth a little bit more last week. I figured I'd let a Jamaican man even look whiter and more redder than I can get him to look just by this statement alone. We all know what came out last week. All these all teams, all selections, MVPs. Tristan, 16 first place votes out of 101. LeBron James is pissed off. This is the first time we actually saw him spare no expense. He pulled a James Harden. He spared no expense to talk about how pissed he was about how they didn't demoted him so eloquently as if he is not in this league. 16 first place votes out of 101, Tristan.
I'm just trying to understand what the hate on LeBron James is for. That's all I want to know. I'm just trying to understand why we hate
He
the man so much. He ain't never had no problem. Great family man, beautiful wife, beautiful children, philanthropist. I mean, what
He's Barack Obama of basketball.
in basketball, basically. What in the world is the hatred for? 16? Do we not see what? Let me look this up real quick. Do we not see what LeBron James has done this year? Um, as far as uh in his 17th season, do we not understand what he's been? The man averaged what? 28, 28, 9 and 9 in year 17. In year 17, averaged 28, 9 and 9. And if it wasn't for the big man over there, Anthony Davis, you could have been talking about LeBron as possible defensive player of the year, because this is probably the best defense I've ever seen him play since his days in Miami in year 17. And you mean to tell me he was only going to get 16 votes?
Out of 101. Does that make it
16?
hard?
16? I understand some people want to go for Giannis. I understand. I forgot there was a couple other names in it. 16? 16? I mean, are we maybe, you know what? You know what? This is what someone said this to me, and I said, you know what, this could be correct. When you've been great so long, your standard is different to everyone else. And I feel that's what he's a victim of. I think he's a victim of being great for so long that now it's kind of boring. Because the
Yeah.
only because the only reason why we're even flashing it the way we're flashing it now is because he's in year 17. If he does this again next year, it's going to look more impressive because he'll be in year 18. But if
It's
anybody,
like watching the Ravens. Like I love watching the Ravens, but it's kind of boring when they're blowing everybody out on Sunday,
exactly,
Monday night. It's not a game
or
I don't want to
even
watch.
but even worse, it was like watching. It's like it was literally like watching the Patriots with Tom Brady all these years. It just you knew they were great, but it was just like they were so great for so long that you're like, come on, bro, come on, anybody else. So I really feel that's the treatment he's getting. Everyone says there's more than one person that said this. Everyone has said this. If you did the MVP voting fairly, LeBron would win every year. Every year he'd win. So because we can't do that,
Yeah.
this is what he's going to get. But 16 votes is, I mean, that's ridiculous. Out of 101 is that's ridiculous.
101. I
That's
can see
ridiculous.
16 out of 18. But when you talk about 16 out of 100, how many people voted for somebody else?
That's ridiculous. Y'all voted for Giannis,
That's
who couldn't even
ridiculous.
get to who couldn't even get to a conference championship. That's who y'all voted for.
Ouch.
All right.
All right now. Speaking of power rankings, as we go into the NFL,
Then he started.
ooh, you shooting lasers, lightning bolts, daggers today, bro.
Just couldn't get me started. Couldn't get me started. I'm just trying to
I mean,
understand.
I said if it's any consolation, I warned you that was going to piss you off.
I'm just
I
trying to understand.
mean,
Put some respect on the king, all right? Still the best player in basketball. Still the best player in basketball, LeBron James.
and you're tuned in to your favorite sports podcast, roaming the airwaves, rolling with Ramos. I'm the one whole last name Ramos. I like to thank my daddy for that one, Mike Ramos. You know what it is. I am Mikel Ramos, and it is me and Tristan. We're doing what we do every week, baby. It's inevitable because we are the best. We don't need 101 votes.
That's right.
That's a damn shame.
That's right.
16 out of 101.
It don't
What's
make
the
no
math
sense.
on that? I suck in math. But what's the math on that? Because how many other people voted for somebody else?
What is the math on that?
What's
I know I can
16
do it.
minus?
What's
What's
that?
that?
90,
11? That's 6.
95,
Carry the
95
one.
votes. 95 votes
Yes. That's the 95 people voted for somebody
for
else.
somebody else.
We can't even say that 95 people voted for Giannis.
They need to be
But we're
drug
saying
tested.
that they did not vote for LeBron James.
They need to be drug tested.
Week 3 power rankings, Tristan. Number 1, if we want to talk about this week, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, Seattle Seahawks. Number 4, Green Bay Packers. Number 5, New Orleans Saints. Number 6, Buffalo Bills. Number 7, Los Angeles Rams. Number 8, Tennessee Titans. Number 9, San Francisco 49ers. Number 10, the New England Patriots. 2-0 teams, and at this point in this juncture, Tristan. Number 1, the Las Vegas Raiders. That sounds funny as hell when I say that.
Man, but that stadium looked nice though.
It looks
That
like a
thing looks
coliseum.
nice.
It looks amazing.
They call it
Las
the
Ve-
Death Star. It looks like it belonged in Star Wars. That thing is nice.
it looks like they're coming for war. It looks
Yes.
like
Yes.
colossal Hercules.
I
It looks
can't
amazing.
I can't wait to see fans in there. That's gonna be amazing.
And it's like if you were to go up, if you were sitting high, you're sitting this way. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you like you're leaning into the field. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
One
I
day we
love
gotta
it.
take a trip out. When the COVID's over, let's take a trip to Las Vegas, baby.
We got to. We got to.
number 1, Las Vegas Raiders. Number 2, Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 4, Tennessee Titans. Number 5, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 6, the Green Bay Packers. Number 7, the Chicago Bears. Arizona Cardinals at number 8. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 10, the Buffalo Bills. Let's start on Thursday Night Football, shall we? About damn time. Baker Mayfield found Odell Beckham Jr. and maybe some of his missing swagger. The Cleveland Browns gave coach Kevin Stefanski his first NFL victory Thursday night. It was also the National Football League's 100th birthday. A century of the NFL, Tristan. It was on September 17th, 1920, when an agreement driving a meeting in Canton laid the groundwork for what became a multi-billion-dollar business and America's most popular sport. Baker Mayfield, 16 to 23, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 1 pick. Odell Beckham Jr., 4 receptions for 74 yards, 1 touchdown. Nick Chubb had a good game. 22 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrows, his career is going to be a good one, Tristan. 37 to 61. 316 yards for the rookie. 3 touchdowns. The Browns beat the Bengals 35 to 30. You're yawning.
Everybody getting hyped about the Browns, and I'm like, yo, they played the Bengals, man. They played the Bengals.
They got it together.
That defense ain't got nobody but Atkinson at D tackle and Carlos Dunlap. They ain't got nobody. It's the Bengals. The Browns had to win that game. Listen, I will say this though. Joe Burrow, shout out to LSU Tigers, my favorite college football team. Joe Burrow, you're looking like Joe Burrow. You're looking like the number 1 pick.
One hell of a career.
Okay. The Bengals need to open up their checkbook and get some more players around him. Stop being cheap like you've been all these years. Bengals. Get him an offensive line. Because if you get him an offensive line and keep him healthy, he gonna be unleashing for a long time. That Joe Burrow, you keep doing your thing, big dog. I just hope they get an offensive line for you.
Moving on to Sunday, and this is where it gets important because this was the start of a lot of men going down. Unfortunately, no OTAs, no preseason, no mini camps. It's starting to show big time. The Bears, Tristan, they hang on to beat the Giants 17 to 13. Daniel Jones 25 of 40, 241 yards, 1 interception. Mitchell Trubisky, 18 to 28, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks. Saquon Barkley, 4 carries, 48 yards. But this was the story in this one. Hurt his knee off of the first play of the second quarter, torn ACL. He is in need of surgery to repair this ligament. He may not be in this season. What is the future for the Giants? What does Joe Judge do now? And Tristan, no preparation before the season. We're going to learn about some more injuries as I go down this timeline. How bad is it going to hurt these guys? Odell Beckham Jr. tweeting his respects to a lot of guys this Sunday.
Listen, one thing I really want to say about this in particular. First, let me get my little selfish self out the way on this one. First of all, I don't know what I'm going to do with my fantasy team because Saquon was my running back. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that out the way first. Secondly, I don't think it was talked about enough, and maybe because it wasn't noticed too hard, but Joe Judge should be in some hot water. And I'm going to tell you why.
You didn't even know who he was.
Sometime in the first quarter.
I told you he was going to be the coach. But
right. I had no idea who he was. But sometime in the first quarter, Saquon was already hurt. He hurt his ankle on the same leg. Hurt his ankle. And then I think sometime in the second quarter before the injury, he landed kind of awkward and kind of jammed his shoulder a little bit. So Saquon was already banged up in the game. And they let him still go out there and giving him the carries, giving him touches. And I understand it's your best player, but you got to pay attention to what's going on. His knee buckled the same way as almost like Bo Jackson, except it just didn't deal with the hip, it dealt with the knee itself. The way he was pressing on that leg to compensate for the ankle. When you do that, you put so much pressure, and the force that he uses to try to cut and move, you put that kind of pressure. I knew immediately he tore it. The way he was on the ground, the way he immediately grabbed the knee was on the ground. I knew he tore it. And especially when you saw the replay and you saw how the knee kind of buckled, I knew it was a tear. Here's my concern with that. Not only was it an ACL tear, because sometimes if it's an ACL tear and it's a clean tear, you kind of live with it. They could possibly come back in the season, depending on how they rehab. But it's not only that. He had an ACL tear. He also has an MCL sprain in there and a partial tear in the PCL. What that means for his knee is that they can't even do the surgery until the swelling goes down from the sprains. So because of that, it's going to delay his time even more. It's a possibility, unless he's another Adrian Peterson, it's a possibility that not only that he misses the rest of the season, but could partially miss part of next season just based on the recovery of that knee. Now, here's my other concern with that. There are certain running backs, if they have an ACL tear and you're like, depending who they are, they can bounce back and be relatively the same player. Adrian Peterson comes to mind with that because Adrian Peterson is a one-cut-and-go running back. It doesn't take all of the lateral movements. Saquon is not that guy. Saquon, as big and strong as he is a lateral guy. He is not one-cut-and-go. He is lateral. The quickness, the ability to instantly stop from one end to switch and go back to the other end. That is a gifted skill. But you need that knee. You need that ligament in order to do those moves consecutively and as effectively.
So are you saying you don't know if he can come back and be the same guy again and with the same?
That's my concern. I don't know if he's going to be the guy. And my heart breaks for that because he did not get the contract that he would be due because of it. So I pray for his health, of course, number one. But I also pray that he comes back as the same guy. I know medicine has advanced, technology has advanced, so I'm praying that he can. But that concerns me that he might not be as quick. And
they were damn near running on his back twitchy. Anyway.
Exactly. So I'm very concerned about that for a second. That was the number one injury that really broke my heart because I'm just like, I don't know what we're going to get when he comes back.
This is going to make you laugh. This next one. Stephen A. Smith. You know Stephen A. Smith, right?
My guy.
Yeah. He says that the Atlanta Falcons might be the dumbest team he's ever witnessed.
He's right.
The,
He's right.
the Falcons were still up by 15th in the fourth quarter before Dak Prescott became the first quarterback in NFL history to pass for more than 400 yards and rush for 3 touchdowns in the same game. The third touchdown getting Dallas within two. Instead of lamenting just his second 0-2 start, his only one was his first season in 2006. McCarthy celebrated his debut on the Dallas sideline of the venue that hosted his Super Bowl win with the Packers a decade ago. The Cowboys beat the Falcons 40-39. The Falcons couldn't avoid their first 0-2 start in 6 seasons under Coach Dan Quinn. If the pressure's on now, I don't know what ain't going to be up to fire up his behind. In a performance reminiscent of their blown 28-3 lead that nobody will never let them live down in a Super Bowl loss to New England and Houston to finish the 2016 season. In the past 9 seasons, Tristan, Atlanta now has 2 of the 3 instances in which a team lost after leading by at least 15 points with less than 8 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. They Doc Rivers them. Matt Ryan, 24-36, 273 yards, if you care. They the only team that's lost like 15-point leads in like 8 minutes.
You literally had the game. You literally had the game won. All you got to do is fall on the ball, and the game is over. But no, we treat it like it's a punt. Every person that plays football ever in life knows that if you are the receiving team, you are allowed to go after that football. If you are the kicking team, you have to wait for the ball to reach 10 yards before you can touch ball. The fact that the Atlanta Falcons, not only did they not retrieve the ball, you watched it go. And you watched a Cowboy fall on the football. And now, this entire week, I've had to deal with Cowboys
this and that.
gloating, talking about, oh, we're the only NFC East team that won this weekend. Shout out to the Cowboys. This is what's going to get the Super Bowl run started. This is what we needed. You guys lost. You guys lost the game. I understand that the column says that y'all won, but you lost. You only won by sheer stupidity. That's all you did. You won for sheer stupidity by the Atlanta Falcons. I'd fire everybody on that special teams. I'd fire the special teams coach. I'd fire everybody. Because that's how I felt on Sunday watching that. And I watched it live. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I almost dropped my food on the carpet.
You actually stayed up to watch it, huh?
I did. I almost dropped my food on the carpet. I couldn't believe it. I just didn't understand how they could be so dumb to be professional athletes. I don't know what to say about the Falcons, man. Dan Quinn, if I didn't think he was getting fired before, you're going to get fired.
They said they were going to give him a chance to make the playoff.
He's going to get fired. He's going to get fired. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse. I couldn't believe it. But, hey, shout out to the Cowboys doing their thing. Somewhat.
Shout out to the Cowboys doing their thing. Dak Prescott not getting paid. Shout out to the Cowboys doing their thing. We're going to say this. Anyways, the Packers beat the Lions 42-21. Matt Stafford, 20-53, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. Aaron Rodgers, 18-30, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. This one, Tristan, all about Aaron Jones. 18 carries, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. 4 receptions for 68 yards, 1 touchdown. He Lambeau leaped everywhere he could find a Lambeau leap. Jones, and it wasn't even no fans. Jones, big day, career high, 168 yards and scored 3 touchdowns, including a 75-yard breakaway. as Green Bay rallies from an early 11-point deficit to beat the Detroit Lions. 1 week after blowing a 17-point fourth quarter lead in a 27-23 loss to the Chicago Bears, the Lions 0-2 allowed a team to take advantage of a lead to vanish by halftime. Detroit, Tristan, allowed 31 straight points to turn a 14-3 lead into a 34-14 deficit. They also are the first team in NFL history to blow double-digit leads to lose 4 straight games, according to Elias Sports Bureau. They've lost 11 straight overall for their longest skid since dropping 19 from 2007 to 09.
Matt Patricia is a trash coach that should have never gotten the head coaching job. And I can't believe you guys went from Caldwell, who got them to 9-7, to a guy that his record between these past 2 seasons is now 9-24. He is wasting away Matt Stafford's career. Matt Patricia is a trash coach that should be fired after this season. Go back to being a defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Although you might not get that back because apparently Belichick's son is now the guy, so you might not even get that job back. But you don't need to be a head coach at nobody's NFL team. None. He is trash, trash, trash. Not yet, but he probably will. He probably will after this weekend. If they have another performance like that, he probably will block me because I'm going to lay into him. Trash. Aaron Rodgers, continue to scorch the earth. Aaron Rodgers, they disrespected you. Aaron Jones, listen, all he's saying right now, Aaron Jones, is show me the money. Show me the money. That's how he's playing right now. Show me the bread. Because you ain't getting no wide receiver in here. So I'm his next best bet after Devontae Adams. I'm Aaron Rodgers' next best bet. You better pay me. Your best to pay me. That's what he's saying to that front office. Ball out.
Packers don't need to be cheap either. I don't get how you still have Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that he's in his prime, but it's Aaron Rodgers, and you went and got his predecessor, but got no one.
Yeah, what they used to say in the commercial, it's Aaron freaking Rodgers. I don't understand. And the fact he took a pay cut, even though he had gotten that big contract extension, he could have got more money. He took a pay cut thinking that the front office was going to use that excess money to do more things. And y'all have done nothing. So y'all better pay Aaron Jones. That's all.
Kirk Cousins, 11-26, 113 yards. He did not throw a touchdown. He threw 3 picks, Tristan. We might be used to seeing that stat. The Vikings lose to the Colts 28-11. Dalvin Cooks, 14 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Phillip Rivers, 19-25, 214 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw a pick. This is all about Jonathan Taylor. 26 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Taylor, the story in this one, as he looked right at home in his first NFL start.
Yep.
Pretty he looked. He made Sunday's hefty workload look pretty too easy. Ugly day for Kirk Cousins, who had a 0.0 passer rating late into the third. Hold on, I got to find where I'm at here. I messed up. Late into the third quarter, thanks in part to drops, one of which bounced off of the hands of B.C. Johnson and into the arms of cornerback Kenny Moore II. Minnesota is 0-2 for the first time since 2013 and has lost 5 of its past 6 games, including last season's playoff loss.
How you feel, Minnesota? How you feel, Minnesota?
In a dome. You throwing 3 picks like that in a dome.
I mean, it looks familiar to us. How you feel, Minnesota? Y'all got to still deal with this for a whole other season.
How you like that? You wanted them, didn't you?
You can't even afford to release them. Y'all got to deal with this for a whole other year. Good God Almighty. I don't know how y'all going to deal with that for a whole other year, but y'all going to have to. Y'all going to have to deal with that. I don't know what to say. And listen, with Jonathan Taylor, I don't know why people are so shocked about this. Did we not I watched him. Didn't people not watch him at Wisconsin?
Yes.
He's a beast. Like, When he got drafted by the Colts, I figured he was going to beat Marlon Mack for the starting job because I feel like he's a better runner than Marlon Mack. So when Marlon Mack got hurt, I was like, oh, it's Jonathan Taylor time. Like I'm not surprised. And anything, he's going to be a great field for Philip Rivers because Philip is definitely not the Philip of old. You can see, you
I
can
didn't
see
like
in these
this.
first two games. In these first two games, you can see Philip Rivers is not old gold gunslinging Philip Rivers. He is old man gunslinging Philip Rivers.
Oh, San Diego took
Listen,
all his wheels.
it did. I think if he gets through this season, after next season, I think he's gonna call it a career. He not looking like Philip. He not looking like Philip.
He
He
looked
not
like Philip.
he
Because
looking like Phil.
Philip could throw.
Nah, he looking
He,
like Phil. You know when you're old, you just call him Phil. He look like Phil.
he looking like Uncle.
He looking like Uncle Phil. That's what he looking like right now.
Oh,
And I like me some Philip Rivers, but he ain't looking. Nah. He ain't got it. Mm-mm.
the Jaguars, mean shoe in the game. They lose to the Titans 33-30. Gardner Minshew 30-45. This man threw 339 yards, 3 touchdowns, he
He
threw two
balling.
picks. Ryan Tannehill, 18-24, 239 yards, 4 touchdowns. The Tennessee Titans are 2-0 for the first time in 12 years. I'm excited to be 2-0 for the first time here in Tennessee, said third-year coach Mike Vrabel. Titans 2-0 for the first time since 2008, the most recent season this franchise won the AFC South. They also won their seventh straight against divisional rival Jacksonville in Nashville after nearly blowing a 24-10 halftime lead. A 49-yard field goal with 1 minute 36 seconds left sealed the deal for Tennessee in this one.
Mm. I thought Jacksonville was going for Trevor Lawrence. I thought we were tanking for Trevor. Well, listen, Gardner Minshew was like, thought it was. I'm gonna be balling out here. Y'all gonna have to release me if y'all want Trevor Lawrence to be the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars next year. Cause I'm balling. I'm going all out. Listen, I think Jacksonville is gonna be a lot better than I thought it would be. I
Yeah.
really do. I still think they're gonna have a losing record, but it might not be as bad as I thought it would be. And I don't think they're
They'll
gonna
be
go after.
competitive.
They'll be competitive, and I'm really shocked, pleasantly shocked. Especially with all the releases that took place. Everybody that they let go, Jalen Ramsey, Coleman had retired. I mean, it's been a lot. So I didn't think the Nick Foles fiasco didn't work out. So it was a lot. Leonard Fournette being cut, but listen. Gardner Minshew is doing it, man. I'm happy for him. I'm always rooting for the
He
underdog, so I'm
gardening them
happy.
flowers so he can get some money somewhere, ain't he?
I'm happy for him, and you know what? I'm gonna give credit because it's probably not gonna come often, but I'm gonna give it now. I'm gonna give credit to Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill played a solid game.
Wow.
He
Beauty
looked like
ball.
he's trying to prove that he's trying to that he deserved the money that he should give half of it to Derrick Henry, but he's trying to prove that he deserved that money. This is growth. This is growth taking place. Happy. I'm happy for Ryan Tannehill. He played a good solid game. Now, I'm probably not gonna say it next week, but he played a solid game this week.
Oh wow. Can we mark that just in case he has a good game next week so that I can
I mean,
actually
yeah,
say,
we can play. We can play this back. We can play this back. If he has a good game, I'm
I
man
missed
enough to
the
be wrong.
studio where I have buzzards and I have all this stuff that I could
I
play on
know.
you. And
I know.
don't you miss the songs? It's so hard to say goodbye.
I can't.
Anyway, Josh Allen, your other favorite quarterback, followed up on the most prolific game of his career with an even better one. The
Woo.
third-year pro threw for 417 yards and 4 touchdowns, both personal best. The Buffalo Bills beat the AFC East rival Miami for the fourth consecutive time. They beat them 31-28. Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you care, 31-47, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did not throw a pick.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm more so excited about Josh Allen. I'm ready to see Tua. I'm just ready. I'm ready. So until they say Tua is going to start, I don't really care about what Ryan Fitzpatrick does.
I don't know what's taking so
But
damn
as
long.
I don't know either, but it is what it is. I'm not worried about Ryan Fitzpatrick, but Josh Allen, the white Cam Newton. I kept telling people this is what he is. Like it's literally watching a white Cam Newton play football. That's really what it is. But I knew that Stephon Diggs trade was going to pay dividends for Josh Allen because he needed a legitimate number one receiver, and he is balling. I love it. Um, I'm mad kudos to him. He fits the Buffalo culture. When you think of the Jim Kellys and um, Drew Bledsoes of the world, just real blue collar, gritty guys. Because even though Drew Bledsoe wasn't that mobile, but he was a gritty quarterback. Those kind of guys like that. He fits the Buffalo mold. So, yeah, get excited, Buffalo, man. Y'all got something brewing.
I know one team that's not excited, the 49ers, because this one, Tristan, is all about injuries. Oh
Wow.
man, the 49ers, they beat the Jets 31-13, but it came at a cost. The injury cards rolled out twice in 3 plays, and the 49ers lost a few more key players. Still shorthanded, they had enough to beat the New York Jets. Raheem Mostert ran for an 80-yard touchdown on San Francisco's first play from scrimmage, and Jimmy Garoppolo, he threw for 2 passes for touchdowns before both players, Tristan, sat out the second half with injuries. It was a costly victory for San Francisco, which was already hurting in a big way before losing Garoppolo to a high ankle sprain and Mostert to an injured knee.
Yeah.
Defensive end Nick Bosa. This is not what you want to hear. Nick Bosa and defensive tackle Solomon Thomas were both carted off the field 2 plays apart with left knee injuries in the first. Both suffer season-ending ACL injuries. Running back Tevin Coleman left the game as well. This is not that same team that we saw a year ago. They're not going to be that this year. Again, OTAs, no preseason, no minicamp. It's taking a toll.
I feel for them. I feel for the 49ers because, especially with that Nick Bosa injury, because Nick Bosa, he is the cog for that entire defense to work. Like, everybody's pretty decent defensively, but the reason why their game is elevated to such a height is because all offensive coordinators around the NFL, they circle number 97 when you think about the 49ers defense. He is the one that makes everybody else tick. So to not have Nick Bosa out there, now we got to see what the rest of the defense is made of, because
Mm.
he is no longer there to draw the attention and the energy too. So it's going to be tough sledding. It really is, and for Morstead and Coleman to get hurt and Garoppolo to get hurt, it's going to be, they were already dealing with injuries from the wide receiver position before the season started. So it's that's going to be tough sledding for the 49ers. 49ers might have to swallow this season for whatever it's going to be and just
Mm.
gear up for next year. Honestly, I feel bad for them. That was a rough Sunday for 49ers fans and the team.
Jared Goff, 20-27, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. Carson Wentz, 26-43, 202 yards, 0 touchdowns. He threw 2 picks. Miles Sanders, 20 carries, 95 yards, 1 touchdown. The Rams beat the Eagles, 37-19. Jared Goff outdid Carson Wentz in his house. Goff and Wentz were selected numbers 1 and 2 in the 2016 draft, one of 7 times since 1967 that quarterbacks were the first 2 picks. In their only other head-to-head matchup in Los Angeles in December of 2017, Wentz tore 2 knee ligaments. Nick Foles stepped in and eventually led Philadelphia to its first Super Bowl title. Everybody wants to know, Tristan, what the hell is going on in Philadelphia?
Well, one, injuries is playing a big role. Playing a big toll in it, taking a big toll. Injuries is a big factor, especially with that offensive line. But also, what's also the challenge is Carson Wentz, man. Carson Wentz, you need to be careful. You need to be. Your job security is at risk. I don't know what's going on in his head. I don't know if he's forcing it, if he's trying to do
He
too
never
much, if he
became
feels like he has
comfortable
to
in that
do.
locker room when he came back, neither.
No, it really wasn't registering, and I'm just like, I'm concerned. And you got Jalen Hurts just in the wing, who is the ultimate leader. Um, I don't know, man. Carson Wentz got to wake up. He got to wake up and figure it out. I
That's
see
what
that.
they
I saw
did
that.
that for. I thought when Hurts got picked up, I'm thinking. I think they're thinking if Carson Wentz gets hurt, because this is what we're used to see somebody else, and hopefully he can do and
Right.
come together and be something to what Nick Foles was.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking to myself now. The money that they've invested in Carson, he has not panned. He has not lived up to that money. And outside of that one MVP season, which he still got hurt, he didn't even finish the season. So I'm concerned. I'm legitimately concerned about him and what he's going to do moving forward. But Jalen Hurts might have to get ready sooner than later. But it's not looking good. Even some of the throws that he did just didn't look great. He overthrew some people, he missed some people. It's like he's trying to. It's like he's pressing, and I don't know why. I don't know what Doug Peterson is doing as far as play calling to make it seem like he can't do these things out there. Um, but they got to figure out something. They got to figure out something.
Jeff Driscoll, 18 to 34, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. Big Ben, 29 to 41, 311 yards for Big Ben. 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick. James Conner, 16 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. The Steelers beat the Broncos 26 to 21, needing a stop to turn back the surprisingly resilient Denver Broncos. The Steelers dialed up one final blitz in an afternoon filled with them. Safety Terrell Edmonds raced in unblocked to take down Denver's backup quarterback Jeff Driscoll on 4th and 2 at the Pittsburgh 15 with less than 2 minutes to play. The sack was Pittsburgh's 7th of the day. That Pittsburgh D never fails, Tomlin says.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's D is looking excellent. They're young, they're fast, they're nasty. Love T.J. Watt. Um, always love Joe Hayden. Shout out to him. My assistant pastor is his father, so shout out to Joe. Um,
Woo-hoo.
Fitzpatrick out there. He's balling. Minka, he's balling out there. Devin Bush was the perfect pick for them as that middle, holding down, anchoring that middle linebacker position. Awesome. Cameron Hayward, who got that money, he's anchoring that defensive line. It's just a well structured defense. Big Ben's looking good. I think he's real shaking off the rust still a little bit, but he's looking sharp. Juju's looking like the legitimate number one receiver that he thought he would be. I think all the distraction with Antonio Brown last year just kind of got in his head a little bit. So I think he's more clear headed now this season and understands, what he has to do. So I mean, we got to watch out for the Steelers, man. I mean, they look good. They look good.
Teddy Bridgewater, 33 of 42, 367 yards, 2 interceptions. Christian McCaffrey, 18 carries, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. The model Christian McCaffrey. Have you seen his photos? Anyways, everybody can breathe.
I'm sure
The
you saw it.
Buccaneers, Tom Brady. They finally get their first win, 31 to 17 over the Panthers. Leonard Fournette, 12 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady, 23 to 35, 217 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw a pick. Everybody can relax now. Tom Brady has his first win as a Buccaneer. Can we move on?
Yeah, yeah. I told
All
I
right.
told people. I said, look, just give the Buccaneers some time.
Give him some time. Speaking of more time, and you mentioned Ashley Baker earlier. They not a top 10 defense. Look at your Washington Football Club now. Come on now, people. Nobody's talking Super Bowl. We talking about the fact that we got a new coach, a new offense, defense. There's some pieces that got to figure it out here. We're not talking about the Cowboys who just won off a circumstance here, but we're not talking about that. But every excuse. We heard them swinging their arms talking last week. They talked about the Washington Football Club. Dwayne Haskins Jr., 19 to 33, 233 yards, 1 touchdown. He did not throw a pick. Antonio Gibson, I'm liking him. 13 carries, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 7 receptions, 125 yards, 1 touchdown. We know that he's always solid. The Cardinals beat the Washington Football Club, Washington football team, 30 to 15. The Murray. We all know that Kyler Murray's story in this one. The dual threat skills were on full display. The Cardinals were dominant. He threw a lot, but the most jaw-dropping moments came from him tucking the ball and running. A new offense, a new scheme, Haskins says. Basically, in offense, the whole team is under 25. It is a work in progress. The biggest thing is to come to work every day with your lunch pail and try to get better.
Yeah, what Ron Rivera said is correct. Everything Ron Rivera said is correct. Um, I think this is the season where we got to see if Dwayne is the guy, and really get that proven to see if he's the guy. But everything he said is and see what it looks like. We got to wait and see. It's not great, and then we just lost Brendan Sheriff for a few weeks. So, I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of factors in this that we have to be mindful of. So, I'd still wait. I just got to wait and see in regards to him. We got to wait and see what's going to happen. Um, but it's a young team. It's a young team, and I don't fault the defense for the struggles that they have. I mean, I want you to name me a team that can handle Kyler Murray, like really handle Kyler
Yeah.
Murray. Do you show me that defense? And I would like to see it. So, I mean, we just kind of ran into a buzzsaw with that. You got Kyler Murray, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Cameron Drake. That's looking good in the backfield. I mean, it's hard. That's a hard offensive unit to stop. So,
Chiefs beat the Chargers 23-20. Not much in this one. Harrison Butker, connected from 58 yards with 155 remaining in overtime. Chiefs win this one. Patrick Mahomes 27-47, 302 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 carries, 54 yards on the ground. Justin Herbert 22-33, 311 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. We can move forward, can't we?
let me say this one thing real quick.
Okay.
Tyrod Taylor better get every bit of money that he can from that doctor. Every single penny you can get from him. How do you puncture someone's lung? You are paid to be the doctor for that team, and you punctured the starting quarterback's lung to the point that he can't play, and you don't know when he can play again for the season? How do you do that? I would sue. I would sue. I would sue so quickly. There's no excuse. You're paid to do this. You're paid. How do you think the rest of the players in the locker room going to feel? They're not going to want you to touch them. You're going to cost them a football career.
It's sounding very Washington
I
Football
feel for
Club.
him.
It's sounding
It
very
is.
Washington
I mean,
Football Club.
it does. I really feel for Tyrod because it seems like every situation that he goes to where it looks like he's going to have a chance to be the guy, something happens and he ends up not being the guy. I really feel for Tyrod on that.
Cam Newton stopped at. This looked very Eddie George when I watched this. It looked very Eddie George in that. Anyways, Cam Newton stopped at 1 yard line on the final play by L.J. Collier. The Seahawks 35-30 over the Patriots. Wilson and Newton, 2 of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL, claimed the spotlight in a wild primetime showcase. Wilson was masterful, leading Seattle to a 35-23 lead with less than 5 minutes left. But Newton took over final minutes, and yet another Seahawks-Patriots matchup was decided in the closing minutes on a play snapped at the 1. Cam Newton, who says, for all y'all that passed up on them, he here, baby.
Watch out.
30 and 44, 397 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw a pick. 11 carries, 47 yards on the ground. He ran in for 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson, we still say his life is so pretty because, I mean, he just had a new baby. You got Sierra still on your arm. They might have another baby. I mean, they got a beautiful family. How dare you not nominate? Tony Romo was nominated for a MVP before this man.
Talk about it.
He's coming.
Talk about it.
He's coming for your neck this season. Because guess what? 21-28, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns. He threw an interception, but he had 5 carries and 39 yards on the ground.
Russell
That was
Wilson
our
for
game.
MVP. That's all I got.
I oof,
That's all I got. Russell Wilson for MVP. That's all I got for this. I love what Cam's doing. I'm so happy for Cam Newton, but I gotta advocate for Russell this season because for him to
enough is
not get a
enough.
single, you don't get one MVP vote. Get out of here, man. Russell Wilson for MVP.
Enough is enough. Speaking of the last MVP, Lamar Jackson, 18-24, 204 yards, one touchdown, 16 carries on the ground, 54 yards. Mark Ingram, 9 carries, 55 yards, one touchdown. Deshaun Watson is sinking, and he's sinking alone. 25-36, 275 yards, one touchdown, one interception. The Ravens beat the Texans 33-16. The Baltimore Ravens multifaceted rushing attack, which led the NFL last year by nearly 1,000 yards, was slow to get going in the first half against the Houston Texans. They pounded away at the Houston Texans after halftime. Ravens get 14 straight in regular season. The longest streak since Carolina was 18 in a row in 2014-2015. And I mean,
There are two coaches in the NFL that I want to see get fired. There are two coaches I want to see get fired in the NFL.
Dan Quinn.
That's Adam Gase. No, no, I'm not even. I'm not even so hard on Dan Quinn. It's Adam Gase and Bill O'Brien. They gotta go. You got to go. You got to go. We done. Bill O'Brien, Adam Gase, got to go. Got to go. I'm done. I'm through.
You still
I'm done.
there?
I'm done. As far as I'm still here. Can you get? You got me?
Yeah, I
You
can hear
got
you
me?
now. Yeah.
Okay. I was saying, Bill O'Brien and Adam Gase got to go.
Are you following them
They got
on
to go.
Twitter?
I'm,
Are you following them on
I've been
Twitter?
beating up Adam Gase for a while. I've been beating up Adam Gase for a while. So you might hear me one day soon saying that I got blocked. I've been beating him up quite a bit.
Oh my
Gotta
gosh.
go. Gotta go.
Last but not least, Raiders open Las Vegas Stadium with win over Saints 34-24. Drew Brees 26-38, 312 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Alvin Kamara 13 carries, 79 yards, two touchdowns. Derek Carr 28-38, 284 yards, three touchdowns. He did not throw a pick. And that rounds out week 2. A lot of people say Drew Brees don't look
Something's
Drew
wrong with the
Breesy no
Saints.
more.
Yeah, something wrong. Something's going on. That Saints team, even in the Buccaneers win, it just didn't feel convincing. Something's not right. Something's not right with them.
We are done, Tristan. Before we leave, we got another honorable mention. So many honorable mentions tonight. We paid homage to Coach John Thompson. We talked about Naomi Osaka, but mental health. We spend a lot of time talking about mental health these days. We spend a lot of time about talking about, do what you got to do to get yourself together, pray for each other, be there for one another. Prayers go out to Delonte West, not only a monster on the court, but one of DMV's finest. If he's in Texas somewhere, I hope Doc Rivers and them can get to him. I hope the NBA can help him out. Hopefully he can come back stronger.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he wants to help. That's the most important thing. Hopefully he wants to help. These images are disturbing. Bipolarism is real. Mental health is real. Drug abuse is real. It does not matter how much money you have. It can happen. At 1 minute he said that he was accepting of the disease, then he wasn't anymore. Hope this man was not a slouch on the court. He comes from our place of home. Hopefully he can get back to us.
Absolutely. Definitely prayers out to him and his family. Absolutely.
98 next week. There's only one way to do 98, baby. You already know where that number's going.
Oh yeah.
There's only one way to do 98, baby. And there's only one way to celebrate a birthday. I'll be 32 next Monday. So when we come back, I'll be in New
Hey.
Year. I know, right? Can you believe it?
Hey,
I'm still 22. Can
it's
you see
awesome.
me?
Yes,
Anyways, we
yes,
don't crack.
absolutely
We don't
22.
crack, baby.
Absolutely. That's right.
16 out of 101 votes, Tristan. Just to remind you.
Y'all going y'all bet what was his slogan? We're all a witness. Y'all gonna witness tonight. Y'all gonna witness tonight.
95 people voted for somebody else.
Don't understand. Don't understand.
And I was saying that. I was saying like this. I'm sorry. I just want you. You making me laugh. You made me laugh a lot tonight. My cheeks are
I,
hurting.
I,
1600.
I just want to. I'm just trying to understand it. I'm just trying to understand it. That's all. I want to know what they were watching because what I was watching was a guy that should have actually won the award. But
Russell
okay, the
Wilson can't
MVP.
get a vote, and LeBron James got 16 out of 100.
I don't know what people watch anymore. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm like the Atlanta Falcons and just dumb when it comes to sports and rules and stuff. I don't know.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see you banned from Twitter. So keep your fingers to yourself tonight, okay? Um,
I'm gonna try.
I,
I'm gonna just be. I'm gonna just put the crown emojis up every time he does something great tonight. I'm gonna just put the crown emojis up. That's all I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna do.
and I'm gonna say it like I say it every week. I don't care. It does not rhyme. I'm giggling tonight. I'm Mikkel, like Kevin McHale. Episode 98. 2 more to 100. Tristan, what time is it? Did I get you out okay?
Oh, we doing good, and the game's about to start. We're doing all right.
Right on. Peace
Yeah.
out, brother.
Peace.